Ladies and gentlemen, big terror news.
Hey, kia ora koutou, it's whānau. Welcome back to a brand new week of the hairiest and the biggest news you will ever come across. Kia ora, Chewy.
Kia ora, Pat. How are we doing?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm still, I mean, I don't want to keep talking about it because it sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I'd rather be nowhere else doing nothing else, but I'm just still super busy with the debates. That's what my life's like at the moment, basically.
Did you hear that, fam? Did you hear how hard he is working? That means that you have an obligation to come to the debates that are in your area and tell, if you're not in the area, tell people that you know in the area that they should come to the debates. The first one is not too far away.
Yeah,
that's where we find out whether it all works.
Yeah, or not. Yeah. So actually, let's just talk about this super quick right now because, of course, we are doing. You may not have heard this far. No, have I mentioned debates in the last kind of at all, Chewy? Have I talked about them? We're doing this.
I think only every day.
They've come up though in conversation once or twice.
Yeah, a few times.
Because there is a bit of an announcement to be had as well. I love that. I love that thumbnail. The gays cause earthquakes with Brian Tamaki at the front. It's one of my favorites. I did one of you this week as well. I couldn't even find it. And I don't know why it made me so happy. It was when you were talking about, you know, if we can't have an economy and R word. No, that's not R word. You know, people say grape on TikTok and pillage our economy. And then there was you. And it was just such a perfect, the stroke line around you was just so perfectly, it's because
me with some other garbage. Nice. I'm picking it up.
I just like the stroke. It looks so cute. And it's so perfectly matched, the ear and the ear. And it's really hard to do a stroke around women sometimes or people with hair. So I really appreciate the hat and the headphones, and it just made the stroke come up absolutely perfectly. And so that made me very happy making that thumbnail, as did that one. We were talking about something, weren't we? Oh yeah, the thingies that we're doing in the thingies.
The debates.
That's the one.
The debates that have cooked your brain.
Yeah, they kind of have a little bit. We had another contributor confirm over the weekend, and I think last week, unless you guys missed it, you'll know that our Auckland debate, which is only 5 weeks away, because 3 weeks is when we start, Chewy, under 3 weeks actually, is going to be at Aorere College, which I think is Papatoetoe, Selfs Road, Papatoetoe. And that's going to be fun. It's going to be a big old one. But I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware. Of course, the Dunedin debate is the first one. Tickets for the Dunedin debate are on sale at Big Hairy Network. I just have to take this off screen for a bit in case I've left open the page that shows the secret connection for. I don't. Okay, I can put it back again. If you're a patron, of course, you can go into this post, and in there's a different URL, and that URL gets you a half price ticket because it can.
Ooh.
For the rest of us plebs, we just go into Big Hairy Network, go into the banner, or just go directly to /debates, and you can get your tickets from there. The reason I want to bring this to your attention again, there's a couple of things. This link is going out to a bunch of mailing groups this week, which are multiple thousands of people in Otago. And the other thing is I've just dropped 20% of the seats. Originally, we could sell up to 600. What am I talking about? Originally, we thought we'd sell up to 300, but I went into the venue on Friday and I went, this feels like quite a good size. How many seats? And there was 240. So we've taken 20% of the capacity away of the seats for the first debate. So if you are interested in being involved, coming along, having some fun, checking out Huhana Linden, Aisha Verrill, Todd Stevenson, and Casey Costello having debates. And remember, you being able to potentially ask them a question, because we are going to have a bit of an open forum time at the end, then you should get in sooner rather than later. I'm not trying to do like a hard sell, like, oh, it's about to run out, you should get quick. But the reality is, if this is going to over 2,000 politically active people across Otago, we could sell quite a few tickets this week. So just, I don't want you to miss out if you want to come. Don't do what we, especially those of us in Dunedin, don't do what we do, which is wait till the last minute, because they could sell out. If they don't, there might be door sales, but I wouldn't take the risk. bhn.nz/debates. And then, of course, 2 weeks after that is the treaty debate in Auckland. 2 weeks after that is the finance debate in Wellington. And then 2 weeks after that, which is going to be the 12th of September, we're back in Dunedin for the education debate. There you go, Chewy. Anything else from that, sir?
Not specifically from that, but since you put the thumbnail on with the if possible, and of course this links to our conversation last week about the anniversary of the homosexual law reform legislation back in the 80s, and that certainly sparked a lot of discussion on the videos that we've posted up. Some good, mostly good, actually, mostly really good. A couple of people just stuck in the past, but somebody, I won't name him, sent me a message on Mastodon.
Does that still exist? Does Mastodon still exist?
Yes, I still post the video links up on Mastodon.
Name them. Name them.
But
sorry,
no, Pat.
I won't.
Put down your pitchforks, man. He recognised the sign that he had painted and was holding.
In the 80s?
In the clips that we played.
Wow.
And I think it was in one of the thumbnails. So I just thought I'd read this out, if that's cool.
Yeah.
I was behind the signs mocking the coercion and forgery behind the anti-gay petition when it was presented at the Nuremberg rally of September 1985. And that looks like my sign writing on the I signed rather than be called a pufter one. I was closeted back then, even to myself. I worked through Hug, heterosexuals unafraid of gays, who painted and held other sarcastic signs in the protests. It was the campaign itself and encountering the many strong, brave and fabulous LGBT people, the I for intersex came later, who taught me that it's okay to be gay and brought me out to myself, which was a huge relief.
Wow.
That it's okay to be, when the votes were announced in Parliament and we all went mad with joy, a bigot shouted divine wrath on Fran Wild, and the speaker said, have that man removed. And then Rob Muldoon said, and throw out all the pufters too.
Oh my God.
I vowed that I would dance on his grave, and I did so. The bigots are still amongst us, and their focus has shifted to trans people. The sex definition bill now in Parliament is intended to erase them with intersex people as collateral damage and make their lives harder. So again, someone that was there very much agreeing with what we're saying, that the target has moved, but the language and the tactics remain the same.
I had a big clean out over the weekend of the computer. I deleted like 100 gig worth of stuff, and because I've had we were about to do our 1,000th show. I didn't have 1,000 thumbnails, but I had many hundreds, and just by chance I've gone and deleted all of them, so I can't bring up the original one you're talking about, but there is the thumbnail on the YouTube thing there. So yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, wow.
So yes, if you're watching tonight, thanks for reaching out. It's as I said in a reply, it must have been like such a moment to stand there, like in all the clips that we played of those town halls and people arguing against it, the one thing that really came through is the amount of just unrestrained hate and venom in people's speech and the way that they were talking about people that were living in their community. And they felt happy and safe to talk that way. They figured the majority of society had their back on that. And everything that's come after that, like, you could still go back to, well, we legalized it. You know, we changed the law back then and the world hasn't fallen. But before then, there wasn't anything. Like, I can't imagine what it was like to stand up in that time for that cause and to see people speaking the way that they do. So, yeah, it's all built on that.
It also makes me think as well, that idea of being on the right side of history. It's like, because you were just saying people were saying things and they thought the majority of the population were behind them. I mean, that's always what bigots say. You know, this is an attack on America.
I speak for all New Zealanders.
I'm speaking for all New Zealanders, the quiet majority. And maybe the lesson here, whānau, who are on the wrong side of history now, is how will you be looked at in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Those people in the 1980s, look at how they were screaming at the gay community. It's like, it didn't age well, whānau. Didn't age well. So maybe something, unless you don't care about your legacy, and many of us don't. But that one in particular didn't age well. Before we get going, I just want to bring this to your attention because we've had a very generous super chat here. Leighton Thompson, $50 super chat. Goodness gracious me, that's generous. Would love to see you watch Paul Politics' latest video on you. That fella posted a video dedicated just to you today. Oh, yay. Also, a bit of koha for the double merch shipment you sent me a few months back. It's very generous. Thank you very, very much. I don't know too much about that dude. What's his name? Paul Politic.
Paul Politic.
But apparently he does post about us quite a bit. And I've heard from people when he posts about us, it does quite well in his views. So more power to you. I wish I had time to go and look at a whole bunch of videos from other people at the moment. I probably won't, but thank you for the heads up. And there you go. We've just given him a bit of a free plug, I guess. Now, Chewy, in the weekend, I finally got to watch. Have you seen it yet? Project Hail Mary?
One of my favorite films of this year. I'm currently reading the book.
Right.
I enjoyed it so much. So yeah, nice. Oh, it's such a good film.
We were watching it in the weekend. It's long, 2 hours 40. If people haven't seen it, is it Netflix? Is it on Netflix? Is that where I watched it? Or is it like, I don't know, one of the Amazon maybe? Okay, can't remember. And not to give away any of the plot at all, because you see it in the previews that he has an interaction with an alien life form. That it's really interesting. They have a really amazing use of sound, like the sound landscape to the show and the way they use that in creating emotion, which is obviously the best way to use sound in a movie. But in this instance, I don't know if half the film is, it might be 2/3 of the film. It's one actor and one CG rock talking to each other, and you get invested in their relationship. And I just thought, this is pretty good writing. If I can get invested into a relationship, a caring relationship between a human and a rock, you know what I mean? It was kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, like there was a third character in there that deserves a mention, and that's Ryan Gosling's glasses.
Right.
I've never seen someone wear a pair of glasses in so many interesting ways, most of which are not how they're meant to be worn.
I used to be it found a bit like, what's his name? Deadpool? Is he Ryan as well, isn't he?
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. A cup of tea. Can I have one too? No?
A cup of tea.
No cup of tea.
Look,
What's the Deadpool actor's name? What's his name?
Ryan Gosling.
No, it's not Ryan Gosling. Deadpool is the other Ryan.
Ryan
Or
Ryan
if I
McRyan.
If I just thrown it out because it's not Ryan, it's something else. Yeah, so I'm just waiting for the chat to catch up to me now. Ryan Reynolds. There you go. Thank you. Who was
Ryan
first?
Reynolds.
Pete.
I was half right.
Yeah, well, that's same. I used to kind of think Ryan Gosling was the Temu Ryan Reynolds. It just seemed that he didn't really, but I've seen him in a few stuff recently, and I really like him. I like his
He's
style.
really, really good.
Yeah, I like he's got a very good comedic timing. Of course, that'll be up in the editorial, but in the editing side. But I thought it was really good. So I guess I'm gonna give it my thumb of approval. I don't know if that is a thing you can do, and so that means everyone should watch it. Project Hail Mary, it's a good one.
You say maybe in the edit, check out clips of him on Saturday Night Live. He is a great comedic actor.
Yeah, there's a few ways. Like I like think, Justin Timberlake is one of those. Movie. Yep.
Barbie movie. He was very, very good, and a lot of that was apparently ad-libbed to fuck. So yeah.
I reckon the most legendary Hollywood person who showed their comedic wares on Saturday Night Live is Justin Timberlake. There's something about, the stuff he got involved with, Dick in a Box and all that kind of stuff that was, as a comedian, I've never seen really him in a comedic role in a full movie, I don't think, but there's something about this to them. I think it's that they don't care about making fun of themselves, so get past that. Any Hoosier? Any Hoosier?
Actually, and a shout out for one of his
yeah.
very underrated films.
Yeah, that's good.
That was a film that I enjoyed a lot, The Nice Guys with Russell Crowe. Those two together, I'd love to see a sequel for that movie. It'll never happen because it didn't do well in the movies, but it is a great film.
And very, very good interviews with the two of them doing the press circuit. When you see them in the press circuit having fun as co-stars, you're like, these guys got on. They got on.
Because I don't generally think Russell Crowe and fun in the same sentence.
You typically think Russell Crowe and telephones being thrown at film directors or producers. That's what you typically think. Speaking of getting on, it's time for us to get on. Gold says 170 days until we vote. Watching on Friday and I heard me missing Thursdays was noticed. That put a smile to my face. Yes. Farewell, Sam, a true human, humble to the end. You have been a pivotal part of my nation's life, and our future is a little less without you. Fare thee well, our friend. Yeah, I think I wrote in the title, New Zealand loses Sam Neill, because that's what it feels like. It feels like it's a loss, to all of us. I've been messaging with Lucy Lawless today, and she's given us a bit of a statement that we're going to read about Sam Neill. We'll do the Sam bit first, I think, because people are already into it. From Pete, Sam Neill didn't have to spend the last 6 months of his life fighting against the Bendigo Oma mine. If it wasn't for this rubbish government, I wouldn't have had to. Didn't have to spend. Okay, wouldn't I? Yeah, I've got a few of his Instagrams and stuff I want to play because I love following his Instagram. Exaldeer, on a long enough timeline, we win. I guess that's about being on the right side of history. And 15mm Gustavus, how long have you been with your partner? 186 years. That's a long time. Is not it long enough? 186 years. That's a long time. It not long enough. Okay. I wonder if that's because the cup of tea got delivered to you.
I understand that completely.
Ugh. Threw it in my mouth a little bit then. Don't know why. And the last super chat before we get going. Convinced you're being driven down by algorithm. We should talk about this. Subbed regular watcher here. Have to hunt live stream. Absent from my YouTube home. Yeah. We won't talk about this now, but we have seen a drop off. And I do believe I'm not saying anyone's come after us in the algorithm, but I think there is an algorithmic change both on Facebook and on YouTube because we are seeing this. I wonder if what happens, because Facebook is terrified of political content. The debate. Have I told you we're doing debates, Chewy? Have I released this to the public yet?
I am somewhat aware of that.
I put the event on Facebook and then I tried to boost it. I'm like, well, let's do some advertising. And Facebook wouldn't let me do advertising. Shall I read it out? I'll try and find it. Facebook wouldn't let me do advertising. And they said, I have got it. I'll read it to you, eh? Why is it being rejected? So this is what Facebook said about our debate, where we are getting, a full spectrum of political analysis. They've said, your ad may have been rejected because it mentions politicians or is about sensitive social issues that could influence a public opinion. Shit, we're in trouble, Chewy, if that's a problem.
But I've seen people monetize things that are disgraceful. So Facebook's full of shit as usual.
Yep, that could influence public opinion, how people vote, and may affect the outcome of an election or pending legislation. Our policy for running ads about social issues, elections or politics requires you to become an authorized first by confirming your identity and creating a disclaimer that lists who is paying for the ads. So this is all since Trump got in first time around. And then it's been a bit of a lockup. It's like, this sounds like it's about politics. And I'm like, welcome to our entire content. So what might be happening is Facebook might have kind of done a bit of a crackdown in the lead up to our election. And and it might free up after the election, which is perfect for us, just the busiest time of the year. So thank you for the message. And also I wouldn't be surprised if it was similar on YouTube. I think what will happen is we'll see obviously a natural growth coming into the election, but it seems at the moment what they're doing is they're being cautious. A lot of places, TikTok included, they'll tend to stop something first, and then you have to prove to them you're not doing that thing. Like, against community standards, and you're like, okay, I challenge that. Not community standards. And then they give you access back again. We're demonetizing you because it looks like you might have done this. Well, actually, we didn't do that. Okay, so we'll free up your monetization 6 days later. And what that means for a news show is nothing, because 6 days, no one's watching it because it burns quickly, because it's the news. Emphasis on the word new, meaning today. If we can do it in 6 days' time, we would call it the olds. Righty-ho. Let's talk about Sam, shall we? Very, very sad news today. The release on his Instagram account, I'll read it for you. I'm sure this will come back in the news story. Is with immense sadness that the whānau of Sam Neill share the news of his passing on Monday, 13th of July, 2026 in Sydney, which is today. I'm quite surprised that we found out about it immediately. In Australia, Sam was surrounded by a family and passed with the dignity that has characterised his whole life. The loss was sudden and unexpected, but blessed by the fact that Sam remained cancer-free. The family would like to express their deepest gratitude to the staff at St Vincent's Private Hospital for their incredible care. More details will be shared later, but for now, on behalf of the family, we ask you that you respect their privacy as they navigate this immeasurable loss. Because there's a few things I'm going to show on the way through, True, but do you want to say anything before we kind of jump on it?
Yeah, look, as a fan of film, Sam Neill has been there for so many films that I rate.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park would probably be the first one that I saw him in. Like Sleeping Dogs being an incredibly important film for
First
the
one I
New Zealand
remember.
film industry as a whole, and also being a very political film as well.
Yeah.
Other favourites of mine, Event Horizon. Now, this is the little factoid that gets thrown around a lot for Event Horizon, but I'm still going to mention it because I fucking love Event Horizon. God, it's a scary movie. The patch that he wears on his uniform, because he was in that film as an Australian, is that he asked for a new patch to be made without the Union Jack on it, and he put the Aboriginal flag where the Union Jack was. And it comes up all the time that it's a better flag. So he fought for that. It's a nice little touch. An outstanding performance in Peaky Blinders. Going back to, because he was born had a parent who was from Northern Ireland. He was playing a Northern Ireland Irish police inspector with that amazing accent. He's just phenomenal. He's been all over the place. And he's always been a massive advocate for the New Zealand film industry, for up-and-coming actors, and just for New Zealand as a whole. And just, from our point of view, an absolutely impeccable series of positions that he has never been afraid to stand up and say, hey, look, I believe in this, or I don't think this is right. Most recently, with the expansion of the potential mining in Central Otago. So yeah, just a giant of New Zealand media, 100%.
I think we'll do some of his Instagram stuff first, because I loved his Instagram. I love, present tense, his Instagram. It's not his latest Instagram, but this one, Chewy, popped into my feed just a couple of days ago, and just a little message to us all. Here we go.
There must be 30 or 40 fantails on the mark pile at the moment, eating fruit flies.
That's it. Just a little tidbit.
And I am instantly calmed.
Yeah, and obviously in Australia, what he was in the weeks leading up,
What you want?
The write-up is this doesn't end well.
Ow.
Usually I enjoy our little
Ow!
chats,
Ow!
but Trevor can be persistent.
See,
But
I think
yeah.
the thing that shocked me the most about his passing today is because he had his cancer diagnosis, and by all accounts had beaten it.
Yeah, he had. It was cancer.
So I was really hoping that we had quite a few more years with Sam.
78 as well. I mean, look at how amazing he was. 78.
Yeah, he looked bloody good for 78.
And they're crazy. I'm thinking of one in particular.
He's talking about men who are
guys-
ruining the world in this. Is what actually we should.
They're just into
Actually, it's almost
food.
worth hearing this again. This is what you're talking about, the fights he was fighting.
This morning I wanted to have a little chat about how powerless a position the world finds itself in. Just a handful of really stupid men who are putting us in danger all the way. It's just incredible, the situation that we have ourselves in. These people are voted in, for goodness sake, and they're crazy. I'm thinking of one in particular. But these guys don't seem to be interested to talk about it. They're just into food. They've got gossip in the neighborhood. Yeah, and who could blame them? And I sort of see their point, really. I don't want to turn on the news these days. I just want to talk about honey and who's got the best coloured feathers. Oh my God, your feathers are so much better than mine.
Well, that's challengeable, Sam. The way that probably the nation sees your feathers, you may be up there with the brightness of those birds. But even the way he speaks, the poetry in his voice. These birds, they just talk about food and they gossip around the neighborhood. What a lovely turn of phrase. Let's have a look. Let's have a listen. I messaged Lucy Lawless today, and I asked if she had time to come on. She didn't. She's away, but she says this. I asked if I could share this as well. She said that was fine. As a Kiwi, I feel Sam graced our lives. He made us feel like we'd made it in the big leagues, but he never neglected his Kiwi roots. He was a modest man and a gent. He told me a funny story about channeling his wife's little dog for his role in Dean Spanley. I think it was a Pekingese or something. Anyway, he would transform into a Pekingese in the back of the car on the way home and sit. I found him hilarious. This is what I told Toby Manhire. Sam Neill was my first on-screen crush after seeing My Brilliant Career. I was lucky enough to work with him on The Sinking of the Rainbow Warrior and found him unfailingly generous and funny in an unusual way, sort of elegantly droll, inclusive and very, very sweet. He was a graceful man, lucky us for having him. My favourite Sam picture, Possession. And I guess I was going to say anyone here, this might not be true, but I'm too young to be around when, it's so weird me saying I'm too young these days and age because I'm actually so old, but compared to, I wasn't, because I think Sleeping Dogs was in the 70s, but I can remember in the 80s watching it at school, studying it in English. So that was my introduction to Sam Neill, was watching that, but like probably
When was
10,
Sleeping
12.
Dogs?
I'm pretty sure.
That was another film that was heavily influenced by the Springbok tours.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm wrong
Because,
then.
like, I could be wrong about this, but I even think
I thought it was a 77.
Muldoon tried to get it banned.
77.
1977.
Yeah. Political thriller with action film elements. Brilliant film. In fact, it makes me, and it's this thing that happens, like I was working in radio when Michael Jackson died. And of course, through that week, every third song on the radio was Michael Jackson. It just tends to be what happens. So I suspect the Sam Neill repertoire will be coming out over the next few weeks, and I certainly might check out Sleeping Dogs.
There's another one of his projects that, if you're a film nerd, is well worth looking at. He did a little documentary. It was part of a series of little documentaries about 100 years of film. And so he did a segment. It's all researched and narrated by him and his personal experience with New Zealand film specifically. and it's called The Cinema of Unease. And I think it quite rightly identifies a feeling that a lot of New Zealand films has. It covers the 70s through until about the mid-90s. And there's lots of, actually a lot more than that, going back to
1940, 1941, 1927. 1927 to 1994. That's a pretty big. Gosh, Once Were Warriors.
It's a big spread, but it's basically a snapshot and a discussion about New Zealand film and the sort of the feeling that New Zealand film has and brings through that's quite different from a lot of places.
Yeah.
It's hard. I think it's up on the New Zealand Film Commission website that you can view for free. But yeah, well, it's been years since I've seen it, but I remember being really, really impressed.
Yeah. All right. Now let's just have a look. I do feel a bit, the Prime Minister had his thoughts and said something like, Sam Neill, before there was a film industry, Sam Neill was one of the ones. But it's like, dude, we went back to 1920s and there's some pretty prominent films in New Zealand before Sam Neill. But anyway, we're going to get on to how leaders respond to the deaths of high-profile people when we talk about Donald Trump shortly. But right now, let's just have a look at 3 News and have a look at how they reported. This was the lead story, obviously, on 3 and on 1. 1 News did a better job, I think, overall, because they came back 2/3 of the way through the show and had a bit of an interview. But 3 News had a better initial story, I thought, about the very sad news New Zealand received today.
We begin tonight with some sad news. Kiwi screen legend Sir Sam Neill has died aged 78. He's best known for his iconic role as Dr. Alan Grant in the Jurassic Park franchise. However, his other celebrated movies include The Hunt for Red October, The Piano, and of course, Hunt for the Wilder People. Sir Sam had just announced in April he was cancer-free after 5 years living with lymphoma. Joining us now is senior correspondent Lisette Raymond. Now, Lisette, his family has just released a statement. What have they had to say?
Yes, Sam, as you say, a lot of shock for everyone hearing this news tonight. He is a screen legend, a screen hero. He has inspired a lot of people around the world with his work, but also done a whole lot for the industry here in New Zealand. We have got that statement from his family just released in the last 20 minutes or so. They wrote that it is with immense sadness that the whānau share the news of his passing today in Sydney, Australia. They wrote Sam was surrounded by family and passed with the dignity that has characterised his whole life. The loss was sudden and unexpected, but blessed by the fact that Sam remained cancer-free. And they've gone on to express their deepest gratitude to the staff at St Vincent's Private Hospital for their incredible care, and of course to ask for privacy in the coming days. But you can imagine that there will be a lot of New Zealanders and fans all around the world who will definitely be wanting to send their love, their aroha to the family tonight and to honour him in the days and weeks to come.
Indeed, Lisette, and this has come as such a shock because he had come out so recently to say that he was cancer-free and he was doing really well.
Yeah, he said that he was doing great just recently, 2 years in remission, feeling really positive about the future. He actually said that he doesn't fear death, but he would be annoyed because he still has so much left to achieve. To be fair, Sam, he has packed in an awful lot in his career. It is glittering, an Emmy nomination, a Golden Globe nomination for his performances. Of course, most known for that tremendous performance in Jurassic Park, The Piano as well, but also that local Kiwi classic, which of course went gangbusters overseas, Hunt for the Wilder People. He is so beloved by so many. Just in 2025, he was honoured at the Screen Awards, New Zealand Screen Awards, as the Screen Legend, and he talked about that.
It's actually, no matter how much you think of this amazing career, it is actually hard to go past Wilder People as the best film he's ever done. I mean, that's a phenomenal, and it's a comedy. You know, often when you think about people's, most, the thing you'll be remembered for most of all, I mean, obviously the biggest one would have been Jurassic Park, but I don't know. There's something pretty special about that on-screen performance with Wilder People. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Wilder People is a strange film because it's certainly not one that when I think of Sam Neill, I necessarily gravitate towards mentioning it. But he absolutely nails that gruff New Zealander.
Yeah.
And I think it's also a really good example when you look at the other film roles that he's done. Like, I think that the way to measure an actor is how different are his roles. Like, there's definitely actors out there with sometimes some quite big careers where you're just like, it's another Vin Diesel, or Keanu Reeves is essentially Keanu Reeves in every movie. And there's still great films, don't get me wrong, but there's not a huge variation in there. But when you look at what Sam Neill has done and the characters that he's played, there's a huge range there.
Also interesting, I mean, just looking at the screenshot of Julie and Dennis in there, I guess, and what we're hearing like from Lucy and others about how generous he was. I've interacted with Sam Neill's company and his PA numerous times to try and get him on podcast. I never did anything with him, but I have done stuff before with Rawiri Paratini, who's obviously an iconic, incredibly famous. He was on Shortland Street when I had some guest spots there. And I don't know Sam, and I never worked under Stan or with Stan, but having seen kind of these, for want of a better word, these matuas in the industry entertainment, I get a sense of what people are talking about when they talk about Sam's generosity from when I worked on Shortland Street with Rawiri, because he was different. It's different when you've got this seasoned, professional who basically knows more than even anyone else on the set, because they've been there and done that and directed that and acted for that person and yeah, it was really interesting watching a seasoned veteran kind of work with us young new actor type people. And as I said, not relating that to Sam, don't know Sam, but I get the sense of I've seen the kind of I can only think of the word matua, the main sort of dude, the experienced seasoned veteran actor that comes with mana, working with younger actors. I've experienced that in some very brief way. So yeah, it's I just wonder what impact he had on Ricky Bobby.
Another excellent suggestion from the chat, a little film he did called Rams. I don't know if you've seen that one, Pat.
Oh, it doesn't ring a bell.
So I saw a little art house film ages ago, which was, I think it was from Greenland or something like that, but it was adapted into an Australian story about two feuding brothers with their prize women.
Oh, Ram. Ship. Yes, and their neighbours. Yes, I have seen that.
Yeah. So he was involved in the Australian adaptation of that, which is very, very good. And it's like, it's definitely an overlooked film. It didn't get a lot of buzz just being a local production, but it's very, very good.
When you look up Rams, you get the American football team coming up quite a lot. No, definitely, I've seen that one. Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that, and I forget this guy's name, but he's out of The Office. Not The Office, sorry. I dug a hole, Dad. The Castle, and those sorts of things. He's one of those. This dude here, Michael Caton, is kind of maybe the Australian version of Sam Neill. Michael Caton to Australia is probably Sam Neill to New Zealand. Because he seems to be one of those guys that's been around forever. So let's get to the end of the story. There's only 30 seconds to go or so. I'll just go back a smidge because I cut it off. Here we go.
And he talked about that 53-year long career that he'd had and how it did actually sound like quite a long time. But we were in that room, Sam, and we felt, and it was obvious that he was by far the most popular person in the room. He had a huge standing ovation. There was so much love and respect for everything he has achieved in that career. And there will be many, many people who know him well or have just watched him through the screens and feel they know him well, who will be honouring him and wanting to celebrate his tremendous life tonight.
It was interesting as well to watch the TVNZ story. I was going to see if they got the video up there because I can't remember the name of the reporter who reported on it, but he looked genuinely upset. I was expecting at some stage through the conversation for the One News reporter to say, "Oh, and you knew him personally," because I could be wrong, but you know how they say thank you for your time and the camera sticks on them for a bit longer and then it kind of fades to the next shot? Looked like he was genuinely upset. I'm not sure if there was a personal connection there or, this is a really silly example, but I can remember when I don't know if this relates to you, Chewy. I remember when Han Solo died and going, and in that very moment in the cinema, remembering that my whole childhood, there was this character that was always there. And then his brother was in Indiana Jones. And, there was all these things. And then all of a sudden, watching on the big screen, you see this character die. And it was like, I got no connection, obviously. But I wonder if people are going through that a little bit today, that this person who was always there, who's in some of their favourite films, is now not.
Not everyone is going to get it. I mean, some people have a real problem understanding why people mourn someone that's like has no direct connection to you. But like films are emotive sort of things. Like I said, I'm a big film guy. I've been watching movies since I was able to go to the movies, even beforehand. And Sam Neill has been there for the entirety of my movie watching life. So that, and knowing that he was a good dude as well, because I mean there's a lot of people out there that are popular actors and have a following and they're not good people. I think that's rare, and I think it's worthy of acknowledging. Like there's some people just aren't, there's no convincing some people. But yeah, it's worth talking about.
Let's do some chats and then we'll move into our next story. XL Deer, statues, state funeral, day of mourning for Sam. Yep. Will the government, I'm going to show you a story. Of course, everyone will know the Lindsay Graham situation at the moment. That happened, I think, at like 4:00 in the morning, New Zealand time or something. And I'll show you the difference between Donald Trump responding to Lindsay Graham, a bit different because it's a politician, and maybe the world's leaders responding to Sam Neill. I wonder if the Parliament will be half-mast for Sam. I don't know if that's the thing that they're allowed to do or they do. It'll be, but he is. I have this conversation. We don't have many celebrities. Like we've got people who are famous or who are known or who are on the telly, but we don't have many celebrities. Like Peter Jackson is a celebrity. Sam Neill, celebrity. During his time, as much as this will irk some people, John Olomu, proper celebrity, known all over the world. We don't have many. Lord, celebrity. There aren't many of them. Sam Neill was definitely one of them. We have lots of famous people in New Zealand. We have lots of high-profile people. We have lots of people on the telly. But, Taika Waititi, celebrity. But there's not many of them. There really aren't. Study Boy says, getting dislikes can affect the algorithm. Not sure how many likes to dislikes you get. Sure. So while we're saying it, like the thing now thing, liking it. Do that thing. Best Sam Neill performance? Well, you guys can keep doing that in the chat. We're going to move on, but we can come back to it as we're going through. And XL Deer, his last film is going to be Godzilla versus Kong 3. That was the role, though. The role in Jurassic Park. That was his worldwide breakout. The Piano, probably one of his best roles. If you look at like what the industry would say about an actor, possibly. Let's just say this because we haven't said this tonight yet. If you've ordered merch from us, basically every bit of merch is on a courier, bar one that I think had a 3XL either t-shirt or hoodie, a black 3XL tee. And we're waiting for the tees to come in. Our order got messed up because of Kaikoura falling into the sea. So it's going to take a few extra days. So other than literally one order, if you got a 3XL black tee or hoodie, yours will be out in the next few days. Every single other one is on a courier right now. If you are interested in having a look at what we do, we've still got all these specials on. And I got to say, Chewy, the Ditch the Prick stuff is actually, it's going out the door. It's kind of flying out the door. So the enamels are down to $7.50. Obviously, we're saying to you, we don't need to have any left over come the end of the year because this is about this year. So we've made them half price. They're half price, I guess, permanently. Will they be cheaper? I don't know. But they're half price at the moment. We're also not taking any of the Ditch the Prick stuff to the debates because even though we're a little bit rough and gruff and stuff around the edges, we are going to be respectful of our guests. And I don't think that would be appropriate to be in the foyer of a debate that David Seymour's turning up to. So we're going to be respectful as well. So the only place you'll get this is on the store. And also, I have to tell you, Chewy, I think we probably are going to run out of stickers. I don't know how many are left, maybe 300 out of 1,000. And people are buying 50 packs, because if you buy a 50 pack, you get them for only $2 each. So I know it's a big outlay. I'm feeling you, but $2 each. 20 packs are $2.50 each per sticker. And I think probably within the next week or two, they'll be probably all gone. So these are on special. All the other stickers start at $5. They start at $4 and go down from that. And of course, the enamels and the t-shirts and the hoodies. Yes, sir.
If I could just interrupt, there's been a very generous offer from the chat.
Yeah, what's that?
Martin here is tired of hearing you talk about the t-shirts.
The t-shirts.
As a follow-up. Oh, t-shirts, yes. Good,
Yeah.
good
I had-
spotting
I-
here.
I-
He's
just so you know,
he's
just so you know,
also
I-
followed up with,
I had my
How many
t-shirts before I came on. A good one too.
how many times must I hear about their specials and t-shirts?
Oh.
So, Martin, as I've said in my reply to you, the t-shirts kind of what help us do this.
Yep.
So you have two options. You can take a walk and do something else while we talk about the t-shirts, as we do every
T-shirts.
show. T-shirts, shorts, shirts, all of them, the whole gamut. Or you can buy them all. If the inventory is gone,
Yeah,
we have
true.
nothing to talk about.
True.
So those are your choices.
True. We could also talk about the cups, because they're on special as well. $9.99 for a coffee cup.
Oh, what? How can you have an amusing misspelling of cups?
Oh. Let's not go there. Not yet.
Oh.
So thank you.
Excellent suggestion. We need a t-shirt cannon.
T-shirt guns. That's I don't know why guns. Actually, even though gun is smaller than a cannon, a gun sounds more deadly. A t-shirt gun than a cannon. I don't know why. I think that's all I was going to say. Just reminding you all that, especially the stickers are probably going to sell out of the Ditch the Pricks, but all the other the DTP stuff is on special and the mugs are on special as well. And everybody who's made an order, they're on the courier, even if you haven't received an email. I was doing some of those before, except for one. So that means I'm free to do more merch tomorrow. bhn.nz/. I mean, what was the guy's name? Who doesn't want us to talk about it?
Martin Chodley.
Martin. You could just stick it to Mr. Chodley. Is that a real name?
Oh, I'm
Chodley.
sorry. I shouldn't laugh. But look, it's one of those things. Do you shout at the TV when there's ads on? Probably. Are the ads going away? No. So
here's the thing. Here's the thing for Martin and his ilk. Let's see if you're angrier over us talking about t-shirts or the next story. If you're angrier about us talking about the t-shirts, I would say that says something about you. The massive increase in homelessness, according to the Salvation Army, under this government. So message at the end, Martin, tell us what you're angrier about. Talking about t-shirts or the massive increase in homelessness. Shall I actually even just, I'll even tease it. Look, see that, Chewy? That's the number of children in constant poverty.
fucking hell.
Do you notice up here? See this thing where it was 2018.
Who was in government in 2018?
Yeah, 2018. So like Jacinda was in government there. This is a slide from the story we're about to watch. And then do you see this is tracking down?
But it's my understanding that
down,
Jacinda did nothing.
down. And in 2022, it started to increase. So, of course, 2023 is about here. So this is the government. Oh, look at that. So let's see if Martin's angrier about this or about talking about T-shirts, eh? Let's have a look. Here we go.
A growing number of families are facing homelessness across the country. A bleak report from the Salvation Army shows nearly 33,000 children are living in severe housing hardship, including in cars, garages and overcrowded homes. In the peak of winter, the charity says it is reaching breaking point. Carlos Norton reports.
When you're cold, you turn on the heat. But when you don't have a home, escaping the chill isn't so simple.
We're seeing an overwhelming number of new individuals and families coming through our doors, roughly 1,000 a month.
The Salvation Army's latest report shows homelessness is rising rapidly, with more children living in severe housing hardship.
Homelessness looks much more broader than just the individual sleeping on a park bench or sleeping on the side of the footpath.
As living costs continue to climb, more families are struggling to keep a roof over their heads.
Simple things like food costs rising 21% since 2021. This year alone has seen a 12% increase in people's power bills.
Children's Commissioner Claire Ahmad says the
12%. See, and I don't want to slam Chewy, the solar saver plan, right? But if there's like a 12% increase and people are paying, a couple of $100 in power, that's another 20 or $30 in power. And if the government, or not even the opposition, is saying their plan in the best places in New Zealand are going to give you $4 to $6 discount per week, but the power's just gone up by 10, 20, 30, $40 a month, that's what I'm saying. I get the sense that what we need to be looking for, and I don't know who can do this, so it's probably, this is a little bit old man shouts at cloud, perhaps, because I don't really have a solution. But what I want to see from our political parties is not just change, but meaningful change. The most vulnerable in New Zealand at the moment, the people are going backwards at hundreds of dollars a month. Giving them a power bill that's $6 a week less, it's actually not going to help. And you might go, well, now they're only going back $44 a week. It's not going to help. Going backwards is going backwards. Now, as I said, old man shouts at cloud. I don't really have a solution, but unless what I see in policy is either meaningful difference or a step towards meaningful difference, which is why about the solar saver I went, maybe we'll get the full raft and it will be meaningful difference, but the singular event is not going to make that big a difference. On top of, to the most vulnerable, the people who will take on board the solar savers aren't going to be those people sleeping in the streets. They're not going to buy a solar panel to put beside their bed in the streets. And it's probably not going to be the ones who are the worst off living in homes, state homes by themselves. It's probably going to be at least a step up from that. People who are really struggling still, but maybe who aren't the most vulnerable. They're vulnerable, sure, but not the most vulnerable. And what I want to see from a government, who I will pledge my vote to, I do it today, is the ones who can show me how they are making life better for the most vulnerable first, followed by the vulnerable, followed by the struggling, whatever the thing going up the way is, followed by the squeezed middle, and it goes up that way. But I want to start with the most vulnerable because we are only as strong as our weakest link. The country is only as good as the people who are at their worst. We are only as good in society as how we look after the least in society. And that's what I want to see. Sorry for the rant, Whānau. Chewy, before I push play, you want to say anything?
Oh, no, keep going because I've got a big rant packed and ready to go.
I'll be quiet at the end and you can have your turn.
Consequences are falling on the most vulnerable.
Children and young people around the country have told me directly about the impact that a lack of housing is having in their lives, and that's completely unacceptable.
The Child Poverty Reduction Act, released in 2018, sets targets to reduce child poverty. And for many years, New Zealand was making progress. But recent figures show that momentum is reversing, with more children now living in hardship as population grows and child poverty rates climb again.
What we are seeing is especially the metrics around child poverty continue to go in the wrong direction.
In 2022, around 67,000 children were living in consistent poverty. Just 3 years later, that number has jumped by more than 50% to over 100,000 children.
Now, we've already looked at this once, but I just want us to look at it again. I want to have a look at the end of a national government, a Labour-led government. Oh, a national-led government. I mean, I haven't done this yet, but I just want to put this on Twitter and go, I'm not going to debate you. I'm not going to battle you. But supporters of this government, just please speak to this graph. Just explain to me this graph as you see it. Because this graph shows to me that there is a side of politics that's worst for the most vulnerable, and there's a side of politics which is better. I'm not going to say the best, but better for the most vulnerable. That's how I would read that graph. I'd be wanting to know if there's any crunchies in the chat tonight, if there's any people who are supportive of this government in their direction. How would you read that graph? That's what I'd like to know.
That's 8.6% of all kids in New Zealand.
8.6% of
together the
all
child
children.
poverty strategy so that children right across the country can be sheltered in some way from the broader economic situations.
But more and more kids are being distracted from growing up by the cost of living.
That's absolutely unacceptable because that means children are missing out on participating in their lives.
And the Salvation Army says that no real action will come without serious changes.
It's challenging to see in the current climate, seeing any significant shift in the numbers that come up in the child poverty statistics without some significant and even brave policy changes.
The warning comes as
Meaningful, significant and brave policy changes. Yeah, to make meaningful changes. Meaningful.
winter tightens its grip. Yesterday, Lake Tekapo recorded the country's coldest temperature of the year at minus 12.5 degrees.
It's already a really cold winter, and I'm hearing from children, young people, families and whānau about just how difficult it is. Families are having to make impossible choices between paying the rent or paying for food.
As the temperatures fall, so too does the margin for families already struggling to keep a roof over their heads.
And just before we release the Wookiee, I just want to preempt a conversation that will come from the right. They'll say tariffs. They'll say cost of living. You know, they'll say all these things. I'm sorry, the constant incline doesn't lean itself against when tariffs came in. Under, this would have been Bill English, I guess, but maybe some of John Key into Bill English. You know, there is a clear, and remember, by the way, not global financial crisis, COVID, world shutting down, economy crashing, still went down. So we don't accept excuses around things like Strait of Hormuz, Donald Trump's tariffs, because this downward line, the one that you could get on a sled and ride down very fast, the world was screwed during that as well. Finances from the world were impacting everything we did. So you can't now say finances of the world are impacting what we did. Oh, well, we won't let that pass. We will not let that pass. Shall we?
There's so much that I want to say about this. I remember quite prominent New Zealanders saying that they were going to throw their vote behind National because Jacinda didn't do enough for child poverty specifically. And then we get a graph like that because of fucking course we did. There are so many things that this government could have done to move this needle. It comes from wage growth. It comes down to tackling the supermarket duopoly. It comes down to tackling rents. It comes down to making sure that there's enough social housing for people. It's about funding NGOs, if you want to go down that route. You could have done something. And they have done nothing to turbocharge, to change this. They have turbocharged it. And it is sickening because it is everything that we said that it was going to be and more. This goes hand in hand with another story that's doing the rounds. New Zealand wage growth, worst in the world.
Wow.
From a government that is laser focused on a high wage economy, was going for growth.
Just on this, I want you to book. I'm not cutting this short. We'll come back to this though because we're about to hear from the acting Prime Minister, Mr. Seymour. When he talks to Hosking, talking about basically, he didn't use the word rock star, but talking about the rock star economy. So I want you to do what you want to do now, but I want to come back to that as well when we get to that part of it.
Like even down to something that we have spoken about a lot, the school lunch program. That would have done something to alleviate the symptoms of poverty. And all they have done is inshitify that, because you can't have a good idea coming from Labour. And I think it angers me because these guys will quite happily throw around words of like that Labour's policy or Greens policy is ideologically driven. And yet there's nothing that's more ideologically driven than punishing kids for having poor parents.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lesson for all, right? You've got to have this underclass of people so you don't rock the boat at work too much, so you don't bother your boss for a raise. And that's exactly what we've seen now. We've seen that. They could have broken up the supermarket duopoly. But they didn't. They fiddled around the edges of it. And like both major parties are guilty of this, of just wringing their hands rather than doing what needs to be done. And when we're talking about kids, like how many politicians are agitating for a particular thing because it's about safety for children? Whereas we've got more kids now running around poor, underhoused, underfed, undereducated, poor health, all of those metrics that are really, really hard to fix the longer it goes on. But the Mowbrays are happy. The Horncastles are happy. They're flinging money around for billboards and political donations because they think that having this much poor people is about right. Maybe actually a little bit more. Do a little bit more. A little more poor people. And it there's no better word for it. It makes me sick that this is where we're at. Like people in Dunedin sleeping on bricks under third-hand donated blankets. Now, when it's like in the negatives overnight. That's not the New Zealand that I want, that I demand. And that's my rant. I'm steamed on this.
I was just going to remind us, I'm looking at some rates of long-term, like saving your money in a various long-term account. And you can get up to 4%, 3.9, 4.75, various places. Just remember as well, if you want to ever have and look, before anyone goes off and goes, they don't have it in money. If Captain Mowbray cashed out, sold everything, cashed out, in the bank he had his net worth in, $1 coins, he would be making $800 million a year in interest only. If he took his full net worth, sold everything that he had, sold it all, just got a big fat check, he would make $800 million a year in interest alone, sitting in a bank, doing nothing. The system is set up that the rich cannot stop getting richer. The system is set up that the poor need to remain poorer. That's the system we have right now. Chewy says it all the time. Chloe says it all the time. We've had this neoliberal experiment for the best part of 50 years now. And the result is the rich, they can basically continue to fail up. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, it's very hard to have hundreds of millions of dollars and actually go bankrupt. It's possible, but it's very hard. The system is set up for the rich to get richer whilst basically doing nothing, and the poor to get poorer while basically doing everything. That's the system we have right now. National 2026. Meaningful change left. Are you listening? Politicians on the left? Meaningful change. Tinkering around the edges aren't going to do it. Meaningful change.
Take the lessons from this coalition government of fuck you, I'll do what I want. Because that's been their attitude. And you can't sit there and you can't tell me that with all the brains that you've got in your parties and in Parliament on the left, that you can't go, we know what we need to do. Because this is where the disillusionment settles in. When you expect one of these parties to win, like we want them to win, and then they spend 3 years rubbing their hands and going, oh, we don't want to upset the right too much. Do the right give the left that much consideration? No, they fucking don't.
Mm-hmm.
They go, well, our donors have told us what we want to do. And the Mowbrays are very concerned about being harvested, and we can't have that. They've got their fucking orphan crushing machine to get to market.
Just remember, the person in charge of the party who would most align with the Mowbrays to have no responsibility but make as much money as possible, David Seymour, admitted on camera the other day when he was asked, how often do you speak to Nick Mowbray? Maybe every couple of months. Like the acting Prime Minister of New Zealand interacts with Nick Mowbray once every 8 to 10 weeks. You watching at home right now, teachers, nurses, students, retired people, how often do you get the ear of the acting Prime Minister? Because David Seymour seemed to think no big deal. Nick Mowbray, who is a direct benefactor of the policies that Mr. Seymour wants to get through, he talks to him, 6 to 10 times a year. Yeah, but it's not hardly ever, once every couple of months or something.
Yeah, so most of us have an opportunity to make our voices heard every 3 years, maybe a little bit more often if you participate in the submissions process or that. So maybe there's an issue that you really give a shit about. And we've tried to do as much of that as possible here on BHN. But when we did that, when people stood up and said, hey, look, the Treaties Principles Bill means something to us. The Fast Track Bill means something to us. This disgusting anti-trans bullshit that you've put on the docket, that means something to us. You see the current government go, oh, it's just bots. It's just people that don't understand, so we can safely ignore their opinions.
It's funny,
but
when
yeah,
you see,
when you're
all
the Right
those
Family
bots.
Foundation or you're the Mowbrays or something like that, you've literally got a director dial. If you're a Fonterra, you've got a private email address that you can just change legislation. If you're a lobbyist, fucking hang around long enough, you get an MP's job.
Yeah, and we're on swipe card to get in.
Like this shit's like, people aren't angry enough about this, in my opinion. And I've been having conversations with people about what happens if we lose this election. Let that rattle around your skull for a little bit. Can we do this for another 3 years? Be ignored? Be told, no, you're not seeing corruption. There's actually we're quite comfortable with the amount of unhoused children living in poverty. The settings are about right. Fonterra's, milk solid rate is good. That's all we care about. Yeah,
I mean,
like it's
what's that going to look like?
Unacceptable.
What's that going to look like in 2-3 years from now? Do you know what I reckon it'll look like? I'll be honest with you. If this government gets back in, it'll look better than that, but not because it's better, because they will come up with a new way to count the number of children in consistent poverty.
100, or what we've seen in the news cycle and the way that National has been talking, they just fucking lie. They just treat you like mugs. Like I've been looking at people's comments of going, well, if you earn $164,000 a year, Greens are going to take half of it. It's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Like if that was targeted at me, if that was the government convincing, hey, vote for us because Greens are coming for half of your wages. Okay, that's not how to. Why are you lying? Why are you trying to convince me like I'm stupid, that I don't understand how tax works?
But that's where, and this conversation happened. We're going to go to Mr. Seymour in a second, but happened with him the other week with Marama on New Zealand Herald, where basically David was going, well, we need lots of money because we need to get our messaging out there. Because actually, if the Greens had all the money in the world, all they'd need to do is just bombard every radio station, television station, podcast, digital entity with 99 or whatever the number is % of people in New Zealand won't be impacted by our tax changes. And if that was just again, I can't remember what it is, 96? Anyway, again and again and again in every ad break. I don't think I've told you guys this, but there is a campaign in Queensland at the moment about getting kids off e-scooters because they have no limiters over there and they drive at 70 k's an hour. And this campaign, we had the TV on over there a little bit because we were, oh, look, Aussie kids are Weet-Bix kids too. Isn't this interesting? You wanted to kind of just see what they were all about. And honestly, we watched TV for, I don't know, maybe 2 hours on 2 nights. I can't say every single ad break, but I'll tell you what, majority of those ad breaks, the Queensland government was paying for advertising, telling parents to get their A into G or else they would be found guilty of crimes because their kids were riding these scooters. Money and huge amounts of money help get that message out there. And like I've said this the other day, if there is a house that's worth $1 million and you wanted to buy it and you had 5 million in the bank and the other person bidding had access to $1 million but via a mortgage, who's going to win that house? The person with the more money, because they'll go, I'm overpaying a bit, but I want it 1.1 million. Sold. It's the same principle when it comes to advertising. The person, so ACT has so much money, if they wanted to, they could almost block out some of the left-wing advertising. They're not allowed to legally. There has to be an amount of fairness. But if ACT buys up all the advertising and then buys up all the spare advertising, they'll be able to outweigh their message significantly. And I'm sorry to be a bit of a boring person with how it works, but within the radio industry in particular, but advertising, repetition, the research is clear. People hearing or seeing that advertising, they consider repetition to equal importance. So the more they hear something and the more they see something, the more important they think, my gosh, this is everywhere. This must be really important. And if it's the Greens will take half your tax, the person seeing or hearing or watching the advertising reads that as more important. Whereas if every ad break was, hey, 96% of New Zealand, nothing's going to change, but we're going to fund our system in a more fair way, then that's going to be the thing deemed more important.
My concern is it's so blatant. Like, Simeon Brown can go out there and say that and be wrong, be confidently wrong. It gets all the headlines, and then he has months before there's any sort of consequences. By that time, they might have won the election based on that lie and the other lies that they're telling.
Yeah.
Like the moment that they announced that Simeon Brown was now in charge of their campaign, I was like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah. Well, because even if they do get pulled up and there's an advertising standards authority that comes out and it ends up being, the 17th story in One News that night, then lies goes around the world before truth gets its pants on. So even if they have to retract, normally what happens is the lie or the big story gets all the coverage, all the talkback hours, all the everything, and then 3, 4, 5 weeks later, oh yes, a correction that was sent, and no one sees the correction. So actually, just lying is a pretty good tactic
because
to
the
get
corrections
your
on
messaging
page
out there.
4 or whatever. Not the headline.
Yeah. All right, let's do some chats and then we're going to go see, I was about to say the Right Honourable. He's not, is he? He's the Honourable David Seymour. I wonder if he'll become Right Honourable because he's Deputy Prime Minister. XL Dear just put Seymour in a Ditch the Pricks t-shirt. Is the XL Dear saying we just should, or XL Dear on Discord has just put Seymour in a Ditch the Pricks t-shirt? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Kiwi Bird, can we have a shut up about the t-shirts? And Matthew says that graph, which of course is the one we were talking about, that graph. Put that graph on a t-shirt. Yeah, not a bad idea actually. The left helps others, the right help themselves. Yeah, what is it? The left is for we, the right is for me. Is that what they say? Danger of Mouse. Danger of Mouse. Have we seen you for a while? I don't feel like I've said that name for a while. Welcome. We need a party that is willing to pay a cost to Solar NZ, i.e. look at the sunny houses business and throw panels on them. I still think that, every house that's getting built should have some part of it, which is some kind of regeneration.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, and also we've already said this, every school should be kitted out, every government building should be kitted out. You imagine if all the government buildings and all the schools, their roofs were covered in solar power. That would power, not just those places, but huge amounts of power to all sorts of places.
Just mandated on new builds.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
I always talk about driving into Christchurch and seeing the new suburbs on the southwest of Christchurch and all these black roofs completely perfectly orientated to the sun, no solar panels on it. Yeah. I drove through Outram just to the south of Dunedin here, same sort of thing. There's a whole bunch of new builds, black roofs pointed at the sun, fucking nothing on them. And it's just like when we mandate things like efficient, how new houses to be warm and insulated, that should be part of it. Double glazing, same sort of thing.
Yeah. Well,
it should be something that we like, but it's slow. We're so slow.
And the thing about it might cost you between 10 and 20 grand to put solar panels on your roof, which is the big outlay. But if you're spending $600,000 on building a house, you're now spending $615,000 and you've got your roof covered in solar panels. Yeah. That's a lot. Exactly. It's a lot easier. It seems a lot easier to do it that way.
And the government is debating another turbine in Huntly or the LNG terminal, like big money. They could be putting that money into these things that we're talking about.
XL dear, but they have less people on the waiting list for houses, Chewy. Think of all those people no longer on the waiting list. Yes. And where have they gone? Luxon didn't choose his rich parents, but he chose to be a prick about it, says 8 Buster. Thank you guys for your text messages. Should we talk about T-shirts now or not? You know what I mean? We haven't talked about them for a while.
Stop poking the bear pat. We took a big swipe.
Okay. David Seymour this morning on Newstalk ZB and for the Prime Minister, acting Prime Minister David Seymour, on the free trade agreement with India. And I had to play this clip no matter what because the word dildo at Stephen Joyce is mentioned in this conversation. And how can you not? I mean, how can we not play a clip that uses the phrase dildo at Stephen Joyce in the middle of it? But also, Mike Hosking asked the question. I'm not saying it's a good question. It's a bit clunky, but is Winston just racist? Is that his problem with India? And they talk about that as well.
Might be helpful for the campaign here.
Have they, do you worry about the 20 billion, the obsession that we've had over this, or will this be like every other?
So we got to just unpackage that a little bit. The 20 billion is that there is something within the free trade agreement talking about the 20 billion that New Zealand has to then spend back with India on the free trade agreement. I'm probably paraphrasing this.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Hipkins has been talking about it. And the point being made is that they're not, it doesn't say they have to call in that cost, but technically India could. And this government seems very kind of relaxed about this contract. Oh, it'll be fine. It's a bit like I used that example a couple of times. I was going to work for a radio station and they wanted me to sign a contract that said you will work all public holidays. And I'm like, I'm not signing that. And they go, oh, we've never worked a public holiday. I'm like, yeah, but once I sign it, you can. So once the option is in there, you can then force it. And it's a bit the same, this answer I'm sorry, Chewy, you can jump in a sec, but it's a bit the same. Basically, Seymour going, oh, it's fine. There's no problems here. But first, you want to jump in before we do that?
Yeah, so this is the Indian side of things are going, New Zealand is going to definitely invest $20 billion in India. And our government sort of going, hand-waving around it going, oh, no, we said we'd encourage private companies to invest in India, and there isn't really a firm number on it. And that doesn't sound like an agreement where both sides agree.
Party of business, Ocho. Party of business. It seems like what they're saying is...
I'm perfectly comfortable with the amount of uncertainty around this. I'm comfortable with it. I'll have my knighthood and be gone before there's any bad things come out of it.
Here's the thing. Let's just... And I may have paraphrased it slightly badly, but let's just put it this way. If the contract is saying something that could happen, but hasn't in the past, like I think Seymour was about to talk about China, the free trade agreement, what you're still doing is risking our money. Because if it doesn't happen and they call in that debt, for want of a better word, who pays it? And I would be pretty confident that that would be something that New Zealand would have to pay if the businesses don't come up with the amount needed to fulfill that part of the contract. But apparently in this government, it's now like, contracts, yeah, they could come after us, but they won't. We trust them. They're good guys. We're good guys.
Do you worry about the 20 billion, the obsession that we've had over this, or will this be like every other FTA? It'll work out fine. Thanks very much.
When I first got into politics, it was the Trans-Pacific Partnership. You might remember the woman who threw the dildo at Stephen Joyce, which was actually one of the first of many glorious things that have come out of the TPP. Trade is carried on. The world hasn't ended. There's always this controversy before you have a trade agreement, but in reality, it's been good for us. This India Free Trade Agreement will be fantastic. Just people I've spoken to over the weekend, the business opportunities that they have are enormous, and we'll look back on this.
So what he's basically saying is, they always have naysayers, and it's never been a problem in the past. And this is a bit like, it's like I've used the example in the weekend about another conversation around, the story about, is it the squirrel and the grasshopper? And the squirrel stores all the nuts away from winter and the grasshopper doesn't bother. And then the grasshopper gets in trouble because there's got no food. And the squirrel goes, well, come and live with me. I've got space. So he's basically being a grasshopper right now. He's going, all those naysayers, it will be fine. It won't be a problem. It'll be fine. Now, this is a bit the same when they emptied the coffers of our money. If we had no weather events, we probably would have been fine with how these guys have decided to run the country. But I think we're at number 23 now. Serious weather events costing us money, and there's no money in the coffers. It's a bit the same. If this free trade agreement operates kind of like the China one does, or the Trans-Pacific Partnership, sure, maybe nothing to see here, but that's not a way to write a contract. You don't go like, what, I'm going to do a floating rate with my bank because they won't raise it. Oh, it'll be fine. They won't raise it. I know they won't raise it. Now, they may not raise it. It may not go up, but it also might without that kind of concreted in guarantee.
I think you've just glazed over the fact about how seemingly blasé David Seymour is about being pelted with sex toys.
I just don't want to ever hear you use the word glazing and David Seymour in the same sentence, especially when you then talk about sex toys.
What if I put a cartoonish sound effect on it, like boing?
Yeah, passable.
Wonder what all the fuss was about.
Explain why Winston doesn't get it, or is it pure racism? As a guy who was against China, I mean, that's the beginning, the middle, and the end of your argument, isn't it? You can't be against China and still be against India, can you, or can you?
Well, let me try and put a positive construction on this. Winston's party is called New Zealand First, and whenever we as a country go out and negotiate with someone else, there's uncertainty. People aren't quite sure what to make of it. I'm a free trader. I believe it's positive to trade value for value with our friends around the world, but I think he capitalises on that uncertainty, and I think he also capitalises on people not remembering the last time he capitalised. So good on him. I admire him as a politician.
So,
wow,
capitalize. So he's basically saying that Winston plays the race card. And then he's hoping that people forget, Winston hopes that people forget the last time he played the race card. So that's what David Seymour, acting Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, coalition partner of Winston Peters, is telling Mike Hosking, who asked a surprising question about Winston Peters and is he racist? So, Chewy, any thoughts around that? I know we've talked about through it because we've got 2 other clips to go.
Yeah, no, roll the clip. Let's see what else is rattling around in his little walnut brain. Find
your little thing again about the economy and wages, because this is the part of the conversation where these guys just, speaking of glazing, about what a fantastic economy we've got right now. And then we'll come back to your piece as well.
the economy's at, because we focus a lot on the National Party in that sense, and I'll come to the roads of national significance. But if you looked at the PMI that came out on Thursday or Friday, whenever it is, that's you can't argue with those numbers. It's going gangbusters. Where's the economy at for the election?
I think it will be positive compared with now, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that despite what's happened in the last 48 hours, all the incentives in the Middle East are for peace and to open up the strait, and you're seeing that Brent.
I think 12 boats have got through the strait in the past 2 days. We're being told, get used to, like people, like he might actually say it right now. I might have just paused it. About to say, and petrol prices are down again. I don't participate in petrol prices anymore, but I know when I stopped participating in them, they were about $2.20, $2.30 a litre. Let's see if Mr. Seymour is telling the truth, because I'm looking at petrol prices. Are they down at that sort of price right now? Because what we're hearing from America is that my Gatsby's not working, that these prices are here to stay. They're not going anywhere now that there's control of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran. So, yeah, okay, we'll keep going.
Brent crude price is staying low. The price at the pump is staying low. That means more cash in people's pockets. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I think there's a lot of spirit out there that, look, crazy stuff's happened. It's been very painful. We've made sacrifices. We've had the light at the end of the tunnel closed down.
Sorry, I just wanted to pause this. Price of petrol is staying low at the pump, he said. I'm looking at Gatsby.nz, the New Zealand average fuel prices. A litre of 91, which is what I used to use at about $2.30, $2.40, $2.50, is currently $2.91. So what is he talking about? The price at the pump is going to stay low. Is that the words he exactly used? We should go back and get that right. Let's see what he says.
Significance. But if you look at numbers,
I think it will be positive compared with now, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that despite what's happened in the last 48 hours, all the incentives in the Middle East are for peace and to open up the strait, and you're seeing that Brent crude price is staying low. The price at the pump is staying low.
All right. The price at the pump is staying low. The New Zealand average fuel price right now is $2.91.5. for unleaded 91, $3.10 for 95. That is significantly higher than before Iran started. You know, it's a good 20% higher. 20% out of that would be, yeah, it's 20% higher. So what is he talking about? The price at the pump is staying low. It's not low. It might not be as high, but you don't get to go, this used to cost me $5, and then it cost $15, and now it's costing $10, so yay, so much cheaper. No, it used to cost $5. What are you talking about? Is staying low? It hasn't got to the point of being low yet, Joey.
It's almost 50 cents more expensive than the start of the US bombing in Iran. So it's just a nonsense. And this is a nonsense that this government has been quite happy to do. Oh, it'll be over. You know, peace will break out, that sort of thing. Like, the war stops and then it starts again. Like, I think Trump has completely evaporated Iran 6 or 7 times now. Their armed forces has been completely eliminated 6 or 7 times. Like, and that is completely ignoring the fact that the major supplier of diesel is Russia. And I don't know if you've seen a Russian oil refinery lately. They're not doing so well. Like, this is bad. It's not going away. All of this damage that has been done to oil refining capacity right throughout the Middle East is not something you can just fix really easily and cheaply. It is more than the boats. And I have noticed nobody talking about it.
And with Mr. Seymour talking about, like, we're working together and the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open. It's like, who says who? I mean, most of the geopolitical analysts I've heard from around the world are saying Iran will never open up the Strait of Hormuz again. They've now got a new income stream, which is tolling the Strait of Hormuz. So what is Seymour talking about? He's making it sound like, oh, yep, everyone's working together and the strait will be open again. Well, there are lots of geopolitical experts around the world who would disagree with that, Mr. Seymour. I guess I'll leave it at that, and we'll keep going.
that means more cash in people's pockets. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I think there's a lot of spirit out there that, look, crazy stuff's happened. It's been very painful. We've made sacrifices. We've had the light at the end of the tunnel closed down.
So this is the excuse. We're talking about child poverty. This is the excuse. Oh, it's been, I mean, you're struggling, but what about us? And we've had to deal with the tariffs and stuff, and like but can't you think of us? It's like, no, we're not going to accept that, just like you guys didn't accept COVID as an excuse for the last lot.
It's time to just get on with it. So people's appetite for taking risk in difficult circumstances has increased. People have kind of priced the uncertainty in. So for those two reasons, lower energy cost and more sort of realism about what happens and how we get through it is going to leave us in a better place.
Right.
Yes, Dewey. So apparently rose-tinted glasses were about to be left in a better place. Any thoughts?
It's delusional. But he's in this really awkward position where he's got to sell the fact that things are getting better or things are doing it okay in the run-up to the election. And he wants to continue that. If they win the election, then things are definitely, they're even better. But at the time, if they lose the election, well, why hasn't Chippy personally escorted a diesel carrier here? Like towing it in a rowboat or something like that. That would be great, because if they lose the election and things are going very badly, it is instantly Labour's fault, and they can never blame anyone beforehand, because that's how it fucking works.
All right, last segment with Mr. Seymour, if we wrap up for the night. Roads of National Party significance. Roads of National Party insignificance is what we talked about last Thursday. And Hosking just asking about it, and Seymour going, well, why is things so expensive? It's like it's almost like Mr. Seymour here is sort of acting like a talkback caller. It's like, why can't we just fix this actually without giving any solutions for fixing it? Chris Bishop, he's trying to figure out why things are so expensive. This building was going to cost 250, and we went, no, you can have 100 million and that's all. It's like, okay, well, when in 15 years' time we look back and we realise we've underutilised the infrastructure we need, and then do we get a refund on the 100 million rather than the 250 million? And it's just like, this is what this is going to be. This is politics of the dumb person coming up. Because basically, as we said last week, the ACT Party, their only metric for success is less money. Right, that's their only metric. And on that point, we'll play it, and I'll remind you in a tick.
Place.
Right, the Rons and the Bishop announcement on Thursday. Do you carry some of the can for that? Because, it's not working the way that it was promised.
All of it.
And you are the government of delivery, allegedly.
Well, first of all,
credit where credit's due. I do like the allegedly from Mr. Hosking. Just give baby his bag.
I think it's important to separate what a political party being national campaigned on. They can campaign on whatever they like, but the government has to deliver what's realistic. And as a government, that's what we're doing.
So just lie. Just lies.
You have to deliver on what's realistic. Then why the fuck why did you promise 17 roads of national insignificance? Why did you promise that? And now you're saying that wasn't realistic. All evidence and all advice. So now you're saying, well, we can only do what's realistic, but back then you were saying, this is realistic. That doesn't make sense. It makes no sense.
10,000 EV chargers.
Make, and I think Chris Bishop deserves some credit for this, is that he's really the first one in a generation to ask, why does this stuff cost so much? Because what I've discovered is politicians, the officials and the bureaucrats basically say, you want this project, here's the cost. You guys' job is either to raise more taxes, borrow more money, or cut something else to pay for it. We're just accountants, basically.
Well, that's what you guys have done, yeah? You've cut and you've cut and you've cut and you've cut and you've cut. And sorry, not taxes, but levies. We got that, yeah? Levies to bring more money in. We got it.
Whereas Chris has gone back and started challenging them. We did this with the courthouses. They told us it's $250 million, $250 million for a courthouse. We said, hang on, you could build a really nice home for $1 million. How can one court cost 250 houses? We said, hey guys, you got 100 million, you figure it out.
So this is the politics of the moron, right? And I'm not actually calling David Seymour a moron. What I'm saying is people who believe this pablum are morons. Oh, yeah, my house is worth $600,000. How can a courthouse be worth $250 million? Now, I'm also not anti, like, looking at the contracts and trying to make wise decisions, but it is ridiculous.
It's a dumb comparison.
I nearly said another R word. It is ridiculous that they would go, 250 million? No, here's 100 million. Because if we could do it for you've done basically what you're saying they're doing, is they've just magicked up a number of 250 million. That's what it's going to cost, and you've gone, no, you can't do that. You've magicked up your own number of 100 million, and apparently that's what it's going to cost. So in other words, if we get 20 years from now and we look back and we see that courthouse, whatever it is, might be an 8-story building. That might be why it costs 250 times one house in Howick. And we look back and we see, much like the ferries, that we should have spent more money to future-proof the building. Then we'll be looking at you going, why did you make us do that? But remember, the only metric that ACT has for success is less money. So the politics of the moron, he goes, 250 million, that's a big number. Oh, yeah, it's a big number. Here's 100 million. That's still a big number, but it's going to be enough. Oh, yeah, that's much better. People just believe it. So it's actually probably quite clever politics from that man. So that's why, not hinting at him being the moron, but people who believe that, he's doing exactly what he's critical of the other side doing, just magicking up a number and saying this is what it's going to be. It's
incredibly dumb. Chat, you can do this yourself. Tomorrow, go and have a look at the courthouse that's in your town and ask yourself, does this look like a fucking house?
There's a
courthouse. This is a 3-bedroom courthouse. What the fuck nonsense? This is
with an ensuite.
People should be insulted by hearing this. David Seymour thinks you're a nation of absolute idiots.
Yeah. Yep. And look, because his only metric, ACT's only metric is saving money, they will then do that. We have no idea what these courthouses are going to be, how they're going to function, what they're going to look like.
It's going to be a $100,000 tent.
So what's going to happen is he's going to do that as a big win because he saved New Zealand $150 million. There's going to be no analysis whether that was a good saving of money. There's going to be no analysis whether we should have spent more. There's even going to be no analysis whether 250 million was too many. The only metric for success for ACT is saving money. And so he considers it successful because he's pulled 150 million out of the budget. And that's why it's the politics of the morons.
We should just have our courthouses made out of old shipping containers. Yeah. Let's just become a country, a shantytown country.
Yeah.
Because then, if all of our public buildings are rusted out old containers, it'll really draw focus away from the people living on the streets and the shoeless, hungry children running around in gangs.
I know there's nothing we expect of Mike Hosking, but one question. So what are they going to get for 100 million? Because that's actually what I'd like to now know. So you've reduced the budget by 2.5-fold. What are they now not doing? And Seymour's going to go, I don't know. We've just given him that much because there is no analysis in this whatsoever.
Do you know that just a small thing that I want to mention here, because he gave some options, right? Raise taxes, borrow, or make cuts. Now, this is a consistent thing from David Seymour, that those are the only options that governments have to change their income. Taxes aren't the only way that they get money. They get dividends from all the companies and the assets that they own as well. In fact, the government's operating budget is mostly from those things. But he will continue to pour gasoline on the thing that the only way that the government gets its money is through taxes. It's not true. He knows this. He's lying.
And just remember, he's basically saying, well, the other side, they're going to do one of these three things. They're going to raise taxes. They're going to cut. And that's exactly, this is a projection, right? Because they've cut, obviously. They've borrowed more than a government who was in a global pandemic They've borrowed more, so they've cut and they've borrowed. And the LNG thing, they're going to levy, i.e. more tax, to pay for things. So what Seymour's doing is he's sitting there in front of Mike Hosking, and he's basically going, well, it's either borrow or tax or cut. And Mike Hosking didn't go, exactly what you guys are doing. Mike Hosking didn't go, so what were they going to get for the $250 million that they're now going to get for the $100 million? What are we going to lose? None of those questions, no pushback, no nothing asked. They've got access, no big deal, just let it all go. And on that point, Joey, I do want to play the last 20 seconds and then we're going to get out of here.
Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of approach that we've got to start taking. Don't just take the price the bureaucrats give us. So if what comes out of this, and Chris...
By the bureaucrats, often he means the people who know. That's what he means. And remember, the biggest bureaucrats in the country are the politicians, by definition.
Bishop's already started to say it. What comes out of it is we start actually asking why stuff costs so bloody much in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Then we might actually be able to solve this problem.
But do you think we will?
Well, I tell you what, we definitely won't if we don't try, but we might if we do try.
Solve this problem. I'd still like to understand what he's even talking about. What's this problem? Normally, right, there's a pretty clear line. If things cost more, you get more back for them. Normally, the rule's not 100%. And trust us, whānau, you will see that when those ferries come in, that we had a really good deal and we would have got world-class boats that would have probably lasted for 50 years. And what we're going to get now, and my God, I will keep saying this for as long as I can remember it before dementia kicks in, that we said on day one, they will pay more and they will get less. National 2026. Over-promising and under-delivering since forever. Coalition of Chaos.
It really is infuriating to be a person that pays attention to that sort of stuff. I would love to be a person that just watches Love Island and reads, I don't know, Women's Day or something like that.
What you're saying is you'd like to be kicked in the head by a horse? Would that make your life easier?
An ice pick right there. I cannot stress, and this also, I don't think this is going to be a revelation to people that watch this show. This government has to go. I cannot do another 3 years of this. I'm sure that's echoed in the community. There are a lot of people that, look, there's people that will not survive another 3 years of this.
Yep.
Whether it's somebody else dying in an emergency room or freezing to death in a doorway. It's grim, man. Like, we have to mobilize people. We have to get involved. We have to be screaming this from the rooftops. We should have a podcast about this.
Maybe we should. Maybe people should watch the podcast and then they should try and get through the algorithm and share some of our stuff. That would be an idea. All right, whānau, some final chats and then we're off for the night. Riley, Ace of Spies, my first Sam Neill memory. It's funny because when I was talking about Sleeping Dogs, I didn't have any recognition of who the actors were in it, and it was only like as I grew up, became older, that I was like, that guy. I know that guy. That guy. XL Dear, if fuel prices go up or stops coming in, it'll be like Crimea here. 18-hour long queues, and Seymour is delusional if he thinks peace will break out. Yeah.
There's some fantastic YouTube compilations out there at the moment of Russian citizens beating each other bloody in lines for the petrol station.
Worthing
let's not
says,
get to that.
Roads of National Party incompetence. Over Red Rover, will Brendan and Band be appearing at the debates? Brendan and Band? Are we talking about...
Brendan is a patron and a person that did our theme song.
Well, the theme song will be appearing, so I guess that's technically true. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think we've got a heck of a lot of time to have a half-hour set in the middle of the debate. But, yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll do a little acoustic set out in the foyer as people come in. I don't know. Ian says requiet. Is that requiet? How was that word there? My dyslexia is not going to get close to that.
Yep.
Is it requiet? I've never seen that word before, but I know the word requiet.
I think it's Latin or something like that.
R-E...
Oh, it's rest in peace.
Ah, R.I.P. I want to know how to say that first word. I've never seen that word. R.E. I'm talking about South Whānau. Or requiem. S-C-A-T. Yep. But how do you pronounce it? I can see the word. I got that. Ironically, he's got it right too. In the pesa, resquieta in the pesa. No. My brain shut off.
Latin always sounds best in the original hate crime accent.
Here we go.
Requiescat in pace.
Requiescat in pace.
I just
Requiescat in pace. Requiescat in pace.
They should change that robot voice to be the voice from Mario. Like just for Latin, it's just Mario.
Can I share some very exciting news? Everyone's waiting for this. I finally cracked 1 million on Bubble Bobble. Did it this afternoon. It's pretty exciting. Sorry. Requiescat in pace, Sam. When our barbershop quartet busked in Mosgiel, Sam took his daughter off his shoulders and gave her $2 to put it in our tin. Oh, nice. Over Red Rover, a court requires a judge and two parties arguing, just like a school requires a teacher and a student. The rest is scenery. And Danger of Mouse, I'm happy to provide my fence to promote the alternative. Danger of Mouse. All right. Now, this week, we have shows on. I've checked out. That's us for tonight. Let's just, you know what I didn't do tonight? I didn't do our new patrons. We'll do that tomorrow night. If you're a patron, because we've had quite a few patrons sign up actually in the last kind of 10 days or so. So tomorrow night, if you're a fairly new patron, you'll get your shout out tomorrow night. If you're not a new patron and you'd like a shout out tomorrow night, then become a patron in the next sort of 24 hours or 20 hours or so. Patreon.com/Requiem El Pace. I don't mind being dumb. I like being the dumbest person in the room. And the thing about it is 99% of people out there would have never heard that word before either. And I'm comfortable with that. So, and I've already forgotten what it is. Hang on.
Requiescat in pace.
Requiescat in the pace. You got to do the inna. Requiescat in the pace. I didn't know that's what it was. That's like AD and BC. AD and BC have changed, eh? They're now CE. CE is like kind of
common era.
Yeah, common. So you've always talked about we're in the dumbest timeline because it's the common era. That makes sense, doesn't it? All right, Whānau. We will catch you tomorrow night from 9 p.m. I'm going to bed. I'm not actually. I'm editing next, but you know.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have their hand out for rewards, while the many have to work at what they can't afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing.
We didn't even cover off Lindsey Graham after all of that. I guess we didn't need to.
I'll do that now.
Okay.
Rest in piss.
Okay. Very good.
Sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's big hairy news.
Nothing else to share, whānau. I'm zipped out for the night. Chewy, anything you want to wrap with? Requies in the parque.
No, I was going to say something and it's massively off topic and I'm not going to relitigate it.
All right, team. Catch you tomorrow night from 9 p.m. for the next edition of Big Hairy News. Hooroo!
Bye, fam.
Under the Mountain's awesome. I've got that on DVD somewhere. Oh, you are. Oh, you are.
Requiescat in pace.